I'm Shannon Couper from Victoria University of Wellington, and I'm here to talk a bit about my recently completed master's thesis, The Power of Pleasure, Contributions from Embodied Sociolinguistics. My research explores the ways in which young female friends in conversation describe their bodies and identify pleasure when discussing their sexual experiences. I wanted to seek out positive experiences with sexual pleasure in order to offer new stories in the face of society's often predetermined expectation of sexual fear and violation. My approach to this was a queer feminist one that was interested in women's lived experiences across a range of sexual orientations. I was deeply interested in returning to the body, which is an often neglected and mistreated side of study. Existing research tells us that privileging emphasis on sexual harm can actually erase key dimensions of women's sexual experiences, including intimacy, curiosity, fantasy, adventure, and joy. This risks establishing sexual terror as the foundational experience of women's sexuality. However, a growing turn towards studying women's pleasure seeks to provide counter-narratives to these hegemonic discourses. Talking about women's erotic pleasure is more politically powerful than focusing on their violation, because it challenges patriarchal hostility towards women's sexual agency. I used an intimate insider approach to reach my wider friendship network and invite participation in my data collection. I sought participants in pairs, working with each to find a mutual friend they were comfortable discussing bodies and sexuality with. I then provided them with a general guide of conversation topics and questions to refer to, which they could choose to follow as closely or as loosely as desired. The pair was then left to record themselves alone. I later transcribed this and analysed these recordings using a social constructionist approach informed by interactional sociolinguistics. So what did I find? My use of embodied sociolinguistics shows that how women talk about their bodies and sex actually shape their lived experiences. With language, we position ourselves as both objects of desire and experiencing subjects. This reciprocity, this active engagement, is played out in how we make sense of our own central physicality. For example, the way we speak about our own bodies deeply influences our experience of sensation, and ultimately how much pleasure we deem ourselves worthy of enjoying. My participants are negotiating sexual scripts and contradictions, building a picture of their bodies as sites of pleasure. How women talk about sex matters. Language is this powerful force that shapes our world and builds our understanding of how to be. By flipping cultural expectations of sexual harm, we are rewriting the stories afforded to us about pleasure. My research participants are a generation of young women naming sexual pleasure as political. Pleasure is our reclamation of power and our channel back to what connects us together and to ourselves. Female sexual pleasure in this society is an act of pure, outright defiance. Thank you.